7 lessons I have learned in my 1 year of knitting. Wait, I can't believe it's 1 year already. Jeez. Hi guys, and welcome back to What Will I Knit Next? My name is Momoyo Karaoke. I am the host. In this channel, I share with you my knittings. I also do crochet and other stories relating to yarn. We say time flies, but this time it feels like time jumped. It jumped from March to maybe around August when I started crochet, and then it jumped to the next March. And yeah, here we are. If you've never watched my video on how I started knitting and crocheting, I will link that video at the end of this one so that when you finish watching this one, you can jump onto that one and get to see how I did it. So I'm going to start with lessons I have learned during this 1 year of knitting, and the 8th one is actually something that I've really enjoyed. It's like what keeps me knitting. It's what keeps me motivated. It's exactly why I can't stop this craft. So you must watch until the end of this video, because number 8 is going to be after all the 7 lessons. If you're a beginner, this video is going to motivate you with your journey. If you already began and you're somewhere thinking, what did I get myself into? Well, you're going to see what happens to all of us. So let's start with my lesson number 1. My lesson number 1 is that knitting is addictive. It is addictive, and it is not a phase. So if you're thinking that I'm just starting to do this because I have nothing else to do at the moment, or I saw it with someone and I thought this is something I can do and I don't intend to do it for a long time. I don't know what thoughts you have when you're starting. I don't know what thoughts you had when you were starting, but I know that sometimes we think we can manage the knitting, the crochet, but it is addictive. It's going to move from something you do once in a week, something you do when you have time, to something you do every day like me. I knit every day. I cast off something and I cast on something immediately. I personally, when I started knitting, I told myself, because I started knitting because my mom was sick, I told myself that it's going to be a phase where let me use the knitting to get through this phase of my life. But no, it's part of my life. So that's lesson number 1. So let's move on to number 2. Knitting and crochet is expensive. Nobody will ever tell you that it is expensive. And if they tell you it is expensive, they don't tell you how much expensive it is. As soon as you're addicted, you'll want to buy yarn all the time. Yarn is so beautiful. When you walk into a yarn shop, you walk in to buy maybe 1 or 2 that you thought about, that you have a project to do with, but when you get there, you leave with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It depends on how much you're able to pay or how much control you have. But I feel like that control starts after you've already added 1 or 2 to your budget, and therefore if you went to spend $10, please just know that you're going to spend more than $10. So let's get to lesson number 3, choosing yarn. When I started knitting and crocheting, I'd walk into a yarn shop and there would be all this beautiful yarn. So beautiful that because I had no experience, I did not know how to choose projects, I just used to buy yarn because it's beautiful. And I would come home with one skein of this, one skein of this color, one skein of this type, one skein of this thickness. And I would have like 4 or 5 balls of yarn, but none of them can be used for a complete item because I was such a beginner that I didn't even know what I wanted to make. But I was spending so much on yarn that was not usable by itself, and I was making my yarn craft more expensive because by the time I figure out what I want to use this yarn for, then I have to buy more. So my advice to you, when choosing yarn, choose a project first. Then when you choose a project first, choose the tools for that project. Make sure you have them. And if you don't have them, you have to factor in the project you have chosen, how much yarn it will need, and the color you want. And then you have to factor in your budget, the tools you don't have that you have to buy. That way, when you make a trip to the yarn shop, you buy exactly what you need for that project. You got it? Yes, I learned the hard way. I learned the hard way. Also, when you're shopping for yarn, there's what you also need to consider. If you choose to go for imported yarn, then please know your project so that you buy enough. Because what happens with the imported yarn is that you buy less, you start a project, when you go back to get more, you find that they've run out of it. And if they have run out of it, chances are high they won't restock it. Or if they will restock it, it's going to take some time. And it is some time like that long. Yeah. So when you're shopping for yarn, if you choose to go for imported yarn, please always buy enough for the project. If you have it in your collection, choose project that will fit what you have in your collection, because yeah, it does run out and it takes quite some time to restock. Lesson number 4 is that accessories can be expensive. So you have so many types of needles that play a very important part in making cute garments or cute fabrics or cute items. You have the straight needles that you can use for items that you're making in pieces. Even when it's sweater and you're making it in pieces, meaning you'll make the front panel, the back panel, the sleeves in a panel, then the flat ones work best. Then you have the circular needles that you use for garments that you want to make in circular. They can be beanies, they can be socks, they can be sweaters, they can be vests, t-shirts. Yes, they're t-shirts made of yarn, very light yarn. So they can be anything that you want to knit without a joint. They can be bags as well. Then we also have short and long in all of them. You have short needles, straight needles, and you have short circular needles, and you have long ones. In circular needles, you have interchangeable, where you can have the same needle like this one, but you're able to change the cables for the length you want, if you want it very small or you want it very long. Then we have needles in metal, and we have needles in bamboo, in wooden. Like, the variety of needles and cables is so much. If you do not plan yourself well in terms of what you need, what you're comfortable working with, for example, this yarn that I'm knitting with, it is more comfortable when I'm using metal needles. If I put when I put bamboo needles or wooden needles on this, it is quite uncomfortable because it's not as smooth as it is on the metal, and so I struggle with it because it's holding onto the bamboo or the wood, and also it messes up my tension. I end up knitting not so neat as what you can see now. I mentioned that yarn comes in different sizes, so you have the very thin one, you have thickest, jumbo, all those sizes, and also those sizes use different sizes of needles. So for knitting, you will find that you need needles starting from size 2.5 to maybe size 12 thickness of a needle. Same for the cables. The shortest could be like less than 40 centimeters all the way to 30 to 40 inches long. So you also need to know, what garments do you make? Do you need to invest in all those sizes of needles, all those types of needles? That's a decision you have to make. Otherwise, they're going to be very, very expensive. Very expensive. These are double pointed needles. Double pointed means they are pointed on both sides, and they come 4 or 5 in a pack. They are slightly expensive because you have more pieces, and this one you use when you're knitting beanies, hats, anything that is going to close up with very few stitches at the end. But they are also available in all sizes, but buy what you need because they're damn expensive. I want to show you a circular needle that comes, it's not interchangeable. So this is one needle and it is a size 6 millimeters. And if I wanted another one of a different size, I would have to buy it complete like this. This is ergonomic needle. This one alone costs 2,200 Kenya shillings. This one alone. So you can imagine, if you choose to use ergonomic needles only and you want to get all the sizes, it will be 2,200 Kenya shillings times all those sizes you want. So again, choose your projects and choose your tools according to what you make. Ergonomic needles do help with your wrists pains. How that is proved scientifically, I don't know. So if you're watching this video and you know how that is proved scientifically, please explain to the viewers in the comment section. Help us, including me. But I was told it does work. So that explains briefly how expensive tools can be for knitting and crochet. It goes both ways. Let's go to number 5. When you start knitting, do you try everything or do you choose one item and focus on that one? I'd like to hear your views after this, because this particular one is usually a controversial discussion. But this is my lesson. My lesson is try everything. Of course, with the expenses that I have mentioned, they will come with it. But when you're a beginner, you really don't know what you're going to be good at. You don't know. So you have to try. You have to try scarves, you have to try beanies, you have to try socks, you have to try sweaters, you have to try as much as you can. If you watch the video that I did for everything I made in 2023, I tried everything. I've made coasters, I've made table mats, I've made a table runner, I've made sweaters. I've never finished sweaters. Yeah. Scarves are my best. I've made so many scarves. I've made beanies, I've made shawls, I've crocheted a vest, I've crocheted a bookcase, I've crocheted pencil pouches, I've crocheted 2 tops for myself. So I've tried everything. And the good side of trying everything is you get to know what you're good at. And you also don't limit yourself to just one thing, because if you limit yourself too much to one thing, then there's a likelihood of you getting bored with it, or you limit your growth in the art. Although I love making scarves and shawls, I find myself always picking something different in between a scarf If I make a scarf, then the next item I'll pick will be something different, because it helps me with a change, which is as good as a rest because I knit every day. It also helps me in developing my skills, trying out new stitches, trying out something new. So there's growth in it, and it also helps me to keep my excitement, my motivation by just doing something different. And that's why I call this channel What Will I Knit Next? Although crochet is involved, what will I knit next is because I hardly know. Through this, by the time I'm put away with this, I'll start having ideas of what I'm making next. By the time I'm finishing it, I have so many ideas of what I want to make next. But when I finish it, I can only pick one out of all those. And what guides me in picking the next one is, of course, it has to be different from what I've just finished, and I have to have yarn for it, and the yarn that fits that particular project. You feel me? So yes, try everything. Don't limit yourself to one thing. I love scarves, but I do everything. Number 6 lesson, I think, is the biggest lesson I have learned. You will need space. You will need space. So once you start knitting or crocheting, I have told you the stories of going to the yarn shop to buy 2 skeins of yarn and coming out with 10. I've told you about the accessories. You will need a lot of needles, a lot of hooks, a lot of cables, a lot of stoppers, a lot of stitch markers, a lot of you will need. I've told you you're going to try a lot of things, and some you're going to finish, some are going to be weak because maybe you didn't have the right tools, maybe because your yarn ran out. Yeah. So because of all that, you need space. You're going to collect a lot of yarn. You're going to build your whips. Yes, they're going to grow. So you need space. You'll find yourself turning a corner in your sitting room to a yarn storage, a corner in your bedroom into a yarn storage. Before you know it, half your sitting room has yarn, half your bedroom has yarn. So you will need space. You will spend money in buying storage boxes. Yes, you will do that. So when you start this craft, start figuring out storage for your yarn, storage for your project, because you will need that. And that is number 6. So let's go to number 7. You can make money with your yarn craft. Yes, it is a lesson I've learned because it was not part of my plan. I just wanted to knit. I touched the needles and the yarn, I did the stitches, and I fell in love with it. But as soon as I started sharing my work on social media, I started getting clients. And ever since I started knitting, I have sold so much of my items. My knitting is self-sustaining. I do not buy yarn or tools or accessories from my savings. Because of how expensive it is, I thought it is necessary for me to share this. Because you're going to get to a point where it's going to start hurting your pocket if you're not making money out of it. So when you're creating something, whatever you choose to knit, whatever you choose to make, please also include quality, make nice items, work hard on your stitches and the quality of the items you make so that you're able to sell them and you're able to cater for the costs of your yarn. And sometimes you'll be able to cater for the cost of your yarn, accessories, and your time. How much better can it get? How much better? So let's go to the final number 8. Number 8 is not a lesson. Number 8 is exactly what I have enjoyed so much over the 1 year of knitting. You see this? Yarn comes like this, in a skein, in a ball like this. The sweetest part of my knitting and crochet that has kept me going is transforming this into this, and when it's finished, like as the garment, the fabric continues to grow, so is my excitement and the joy. And I just want to see the finished product. Like, I do magic. I turn this into beautiful things. That keeps me motivated. And that brings me to the end of this video. I hope you have learned something. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have never subscribed to my channel, please do so. There'll be much more coming. I know I've taken a break. I've been away for a month or so. So please subscribe and also share your experiences when you started knitting, your first year of knitting, your first month, your first 6 months. I don't know where you are in your knitting, but wherever you are in your knitting, please share your experiences, lessons you're learning. Let's help each other. And always remember to come back to this channel to figure out what will you knit next, because that's what I bring to you. Goodbye.